Welcome back. As you can tell, this is being increasingly difficult to record this blog. I quickly looked up about Muhammad's first wife, and a little write-up that I found here was after Muhammad's first trance in which he heard words from the angel Gabriel, he told his first wife, Kadia, that he didn't know who had spoken to him. It was Muhammad's first wife who had told him that it must have been the angel Gabriel. Muhammad's claim to being a prophet originated from Kadia, Muhammad's wife. Eager to be accepted as a prophet in his native Mecca, Muhammad initially claimed that God approved of Mecca's goddesses, Alat, Uzza, and Manat, but unable to reconcile three goddesses with his monotheism, he later changed his mind, confessing, "I have fabricated things against God and have imputed to him words which he has not spoken." Al-Tabari, Volume 6, page 111 in the Hadith. And he said that he had mistaken the words of Satan, Ibn Ishaq, page 165 to 166, as God's, in the Hadith again. A man who hears from Satan mistakes Satan's words as God, fabricates things against God, and needs his wife to tell him that he is a prophet, isn't one. This is obviously clearly anti-Islamic post. I just sort of Googled it. So, lots of things we've covered about Islam so far today. What I was saying, sort of the conclusion I was coming to, was that no matter how you feel about Islam, the undeniable thing is that there's a huge people group right now that claim to be Muslims, and the difference between and are passionate Muslims, and the difference between a Muslim household and, say, a Roman Catholic Christian or a Roman Catholic household, rather, is that Muslims, when they're born, they'll make a point of getting down to the baby's ear and whispering the professions, the Shahada, the La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and maybe some other blessings. And a Muslim family considers their children to be Muslims. So you're born into a Muslim family, whereas, say, a Roman Catholic household or a Western secular Christianity type American culture that we have here, when you're born as a sinner, or you're born and with a sort of a blank slate, and you can convert later to whatever religion you want. In a Western secular society like North America, most people aren't born with any religion, but if pressed, they would say, "Oh, well, I can become a Christian," but would hold no sort of Christian-like beliefs other than going to church on Christmas and Easter maybe, and believing in a generic God. But even most atheists, when you press them, most that I know will say that they believe in some sort of deity, just not the one particularly mentioned in the Bible. And there's a whole bunch of people that spend a lot of their efforts in comparing Christianity to Islam, and making a point of saying that Islam is nothing like Christianity or Judaism. The descendants of Abraham were many and spread out, and I think technically speaking, if you follow the story of Noah, his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives populated the known earth after the deluge, so we would all sort of be related if you trace us all back far enough, those of us who aren't from another planet or some other sort of realm. So in one sense, we're all family, and like I said, I had many Muslim friends, and I have nothing against Islam, at all. I'm just talking, if you want to compare, if you want to debate faith, then we can do that too. But I think a lot of it is sort of a waste of time, in the sense that you can debate Scientology. Some people, can simply point out how like Trey Parker and Matt Stone can just spend hours railing against it, and it seems so obvious to them that Scientology is a joke. But what I would say to Trey Parker and Matt Stone is that whether you think it's a joke or not, it's real and people believe it. So instead of debating whether it should exist or shouldn't exist, let's admit that it does, and work from there. Some people will never critique their own foundation, and I believe everybody knows that. That's nationalism at its best. If you can trick a whole country into being so nationalistic that it's always us versus them, or we're the best, if you can get a country and an entire people group to get that way, to be prideful and nationalistic, people can be easily led by the governmental powers to be, i.e. 1940s Germany. Or current America, you know. Some people are waking up, but a lot of people aren't. So to ask a staunch Muslim to examine his own foundations might just be as crazy as asking a Scientologist to examine their foundations, or a red-blooded Texas American that's, let's just go kill all those brown people, you know, or or a baby Jesus loving Christian who just, oh, bless God, I just love baby Jesus. Like, some people you cannot reason with. So either you spend your entire time trying to reason with people like that and delve off into bunny trails for the entirety of the rest of your life, or you talk to people who will reason with you, and like a bee when there's no honey at the flower, move on to the other one, because there's lots of flowers and there's lots of fish in the proverbial sea. So, an introduction to Islam 101. Another thing that might be worthwhile pointing out is that one of the reasons that Muhammad had so many wives, and maybe it's hard for us to understand in this culture, but he actually was doing widowed women favors by marrying them, by being who he was. Follow me here. It might be hard to understand, but being who he was and the stature that he had and the people that would support him, by marrying a widowed woman or somebody who was of meager means or austere means, by marrying her, he guaranteed basically the rest of her life that her and her family would be taken care of, which is a pretty good thing. And if and not only that, but then we're going back 1,500 years to areas which were mostly tribal. So you stick to your tribe and I stick to my tribe, and if your tribe and my tribe want to get along, we have tribal marriages between each other and we join together. So there's some things that need to be considered when you realize how many wives he had, and Islam, I think, permits up to 4 wives, but then even the Sunni modern Muslims will say, like, well, yeah, but you have to be able to support 4 wives. And none of the Muslims I know have more than 1 wife. And I would say that they are devout Muslims going to the mosque. Some of them have been to Mecca, as I said, for the pilgrimage several times, and pray the compulsory 5 prayers a day, plus an extra 2. So, and they don't have extra wives other than 1. And if you want to get really technical, Abraham didn't just have Sarah as a wife, but he had Hagar and children by her, and Zipporah and a few others, and Jacob and Isaac all had multiple wives. So the only person that we don't have modern records of with multiple wives is this Messiah character, but throughout early Judaism and even and Israelism, it wasn't too out of the ordinary to have more than 1 wife in a tribal sort of setting, because one, they're fulfilling the original command to be fruitful and multiply, in their reasoning, and the other was to, like I said, to keep the tribal family together. And last but not least, the piece de resistance that I hope some of you don't use negatively. But another way to keep the family and the tribal conducive was to intermarry. So whereas we, in the Western world, would look at marrying our cousins as something anathema, cousin marriage is makes up about 90% of the marriages in Pakistan. And in the Muslim world, it's commonplace to marry your cousin. So your dad's sister's daughter, or what have you. In our culture, we don't do that, and Same thing with some early presidents married their cousins, and some early prophets in the Torah married their cousins. Abraham and Sarah were actually stepsister and brother. So before you rise too quickly to judge, think of Lot's daughters, and the entire few tribes of Israel are descendants of inbreeding. All the royal families in England interbreed, and the social elites of the world interbreed, and so do the majority of Muslim marriages and Muslim communities are interbred in the sense that they're married by cousins. The few Muslims that I know who are married are all married to their cousins, and looking at it from our point of view, it might be a little weird, but from their point of view, they have a low divorce rate, which could also be coupled by divorce being, once again, anathema to the community, but also because you can't divorce your family in that sense. Something's got to be severely friggin' wrong with the marriage for you to divorce your family, because you're literally marrying your cousin. And so you can look all this up for yourself, but it's true. So this has been Islam 101. I could go on further, but I think I'm 4 clips in, and I think that'll be good for today. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below on the video, or email me. You can find out my email address on the website, adamjosh.com. Thanks for watching the Adam Josh Oral Blog. Tell your friends to get a job.